Success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal.
I'm gonna show you how great I am.
In this video, I just want to talk about the concept of inspired success and what success is and what inspiration is. And remember what I found in my journey and in journey of writing this book, I found that people misalign what motivation is versus inspiration. Motivation is completely different from inspiration. Motivation is using outside factors and elements in order to push you to get to a certain goal. And motivation is something that's not permanent because it will last for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, maybe even a month, a week, or a year. But it's not something that's not permanent, because motivation is something using external factors and external values and societal pressures to move you to a certain ideal. But inspiration is completely different. Inspiration comes from within. It comes from our deepest values, our deepest cores, our deepest core beliefs. And that's where inspiration really comes from. And it comes from being aligned to our highest values. Let me give you an example. Let's just say you have a young boy who likes to play PlayStation 4, and that's what is inspiring to him. That's what is aligning to his highest values. You're not going to need to motivate him to get up in the morning to go and play those video games, because that's inherently intrinsic to him. That's what's in alignment to his highest values. However, you will struggle to get that child to go clean outside or go study a certain subject that's not in line with his highest values, because that's not intrinsically what he's always wanted to do. And in that case, that's when you're going to need motivation to get that person to act contrary to the highest values and contrary to the sources of inspiration. And one thing that you will need to understand is that you will never be able to get a person to act contrary to what their values will dictate and what is inspiring to them. For example, a CEO, an entrepreneur, a business person, an artist, a business analyst, or photographer who is inspired by the work that they are doing, you do not need to wake them up in the morning to be able to get there to do that work, because that's what's inspiring to them. Steve Jobs, one of my heroes since I work in the technology space, he said he advocated for inspiration. He said, don't settle, because as a matter of the heart, you will know exactly what it is that inspires you before you to get it. Probably didn't get that quote right, but you get the idea. So what you need to do is be able to think about what inspires you, and that's where the first title called of Inspired Success comes in, because inspiration comes from within. And the first time I thought about what actually inspires me is because I was in varsity, I was studying, and I wasn't sure about what I was studying, and my brother said something very powerful to me. He said to me, think about something that you would do for free. You're not going to get paid for it. What is it that you will do? I thought, I paused, I listened, and then he said, whatever the answer to that question is, go and do that. What does that speak to? It talks about inspiration. He's inspired by what he does now. I'm inspired by what I do now. And hopefully you'll be inspired by what you're doing, because inspiration comes from within and it's aligned to our highest values. Now let's just talk about success. Many people get success wrong, and they think success is having a lot of money. It's about having a lot of cars. It's about having the highest levels in leadership, having the biggest the most certifications, having more degrees than a thermometer. Some guys, success is judged by the feminine company that you keep. Having more women, you must be more successful, right? Or having a lot of more men, depending on what your preference is. But having more of something does not necessarily make you successful. And that's the old traditional definition of success: having a lot of money, having a lot of cars, having a lot of degrees, having a high social profile does not necessarily make you successful. I have met people who are independently wealthy and they are miserable and they're depressed and they're suicidal. And I've met people who you wouldn't say they're independently wealthy, but they are very successful and they're very happy because they're doing things that are aligned with the highest values that inspire them. And the best definition of success is that I've been able to find is from Earl Nightingale in his talk, his audio clip called "The Stranger's Secret," which I've actually I've borrowed it in terms of licensing. It's something that I believe in so much that I say it every single day. The definition of success that I've been able to find, and Earl Nightingale was able to find, is that success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. Success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. What does that mean? That means that you are doing what you've always wanted to do because it's in alignment with your highest values and you're inspired to do so, and not because your mom said you must do it, your brother said you must do it, society dictates that you must do it. It's something that you've always wanted to do. And most people are failures out there because they'll be studying to be a chartered accountant, or they want to be a rapper, or they want to open a certain business, but that's not what they've always inherently wanted to do. For example, if you find a couple and all they want to do, and they're inspired by raising children to be strong and healthy citizens, and their focus is on the children, and they are progressively becoming better at raising the children every single day, then irregardless of whether they have 100,000 rand or have a 10 million rand in their bank account, they are successful because they are working towards something every single day that they inherently want to do, and no one else is forcing them to do so. Versus another person who becomes a hotshot in a certain profession and they've never wanted to do so, and they're doing it because their society said they must do that, or their father said they must do that, then that person is a failure. And so success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. And that means that there's no need for competition, because no two people want exactly the same things. So if you have an unhealthy comparison to somebody else, the moment you make that unhealthy comparison, then you by default are a failure, because you are looking at where they're going, and they may be going to something that's inspiring to them, but not necessarily inspiring to you. So by living by this definition of success, it negates any need for competition. It makes sure that you're doing something that you've always inherently wanted to do, and it makes sure that you are focused on a goal and you are progressively every single day becoming better at it. And that is a definition of success, and that I've seen many people living by it, and people who are not living by it, who are living inspired lives, or people who are not living inspired lives. So that is the definition of success, and that's how the title of the book came out, because you cannot have true success unless you are inspired, and true inspiration will lead you to success. So these two words, inspired success, go hand in hand, and that is how you're able to build yourself so that you are progressively realizing a worthy ideal. And now, before you can be successful and realize inspired success, there are certain things that actually have to happen, and we'll talk about them in the next video when we talk about hierarchy of values, pain causing change, and living by your purpose and being addicted to success. And in the next video, I'm just going to pay a tribute to a great teacher of mine. We're going to talk about the hierarchy of values and how to unpack them and how you can reach them. But remember, success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal, which means that you're doing what you've always wanted to do, and not because somebody else wants you to do them.
It can be the day that turns your life around. All you need is a reason to turn you on. Today my life changes. Now who can do that? Anybody. When can you do it? Whatever day you pick.